What going on, everybody? Dave Mitchell here, Voice of Autism, episode 107. Mhm. And yes, you can hear it. It is raining outside. Mhm. I think I got a lot of stuff to talk about today. The verging of the SGC on how they are going way, way too far in doing stuff that technically count as unconstitutional and illegal. If you guys don't know what the SCT is, let's just say the SCT or, or FTC have decided to sue YouTube because they want to control us. I hate to say it, they're going to get a lot of backlash. And I mean a lot because one, it's unconstitutional. The new bill that they're putting in that will screw up YouTube is sexist, racist, and to support narcissistic, communistic, and toxic parents. And sadly enough, what they're doing is kind of red flag. Where I think, for me, if I would cover it, I would regulations on them because they need regulation on the FCT with the Giganto a COPA going too far. And I think I know dirty reason why they're doing it. They're trying to set up people who can influence and get the truth out there, voice it up, because the narcissistic parents and toxic parents who want to keep control of their kids will do anything that they can to get a control over them and brainwash them. And most of the people who work there are narcissistic and toxic. So yeah, we're dealing with a problem with people that need to be not working with the SCT. And an ironic thing is, they both help with TV too. And how about stuff that they have allowed on TV? Points toward narcissistic and toxic behavior. That it's so accepted, it ain't even funny. People who wonder why autistic people don't like Disney Channel TV shows that much, or not sitcom, but comedy TV shows that are trying to be funny, because of how they make it. They try to make narcissistic and toxic people look funny when they're not. They're just dangerous, and they are even more dangerous to the autistic community. And because this thing will be coming out next month, if we don't stop it and go to Congress, it can be a real bad thing for the autistic community because it will try slowly take a voice from us. Literally. And it need to be stopped. I talked to my friend, even my fiance Val, about it, and she even agreed with me what they're doing is wrong. It's even that more of the not Japanese, but sorry if any of my people who subscribe to me are Japanese. I did not mean you, I meant Chinese. For it's something that Chinese would do, and the communism parties would do. So what the SCT or COPA is doing is a red flag because what they're doing is unconstitutional, and there have to be a law against what they're doing. Because what they're doing, it's actually, I consider it a crime. But some of their members have connection to Chinese people who work in China, meaning that can be cahoots or something that could be arrestable for, meaning what they're doing is illegal. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that what they're doing to YouTube and for people like us is illegal and it's wrong. Because the parents, like they're trying to take away a parent away from them, like parents are ones giving permission to kids, and then COPA or the SCT using that excuse to control YouTube and all our platforms. It's a scummy, dirty little tactic that the Chinese did in their country. Because it is a slow thing. They're slowly trying to do it over here where the people who know what it is don't realize it. But they don't realize how smart people like are. And it's going to backfire. The one, what they are doing over there is wrong. What the SCT or COPA is doing is wrong. And there are some crime that they have done that are being let out. And habits that they allow on TV, they would not allow that on YouTube or anywhere else. Yeah, that's in up red flags right there. To think about it. And mood wise it will affect people who are autistic because people who are autistic who speak their voice to try to help our autistic kids, adults, or teenagers, they're going to use it as excuse to set our voices up. But would not be right. Copa is evil for what they're doing. They're doing stuff that is illegal and unconstitutional. Our freedom of speech is at risk right now if we don't stop it from happening. It's wrong, it's scummy, it's unacceptable, and it should not be happening. But they're making deal with China, what I don't support, and they should not be because China is getting power hungry of wanting to control everything. And yeah, and what they're doing in South China Sea. But yeah, and what is happening over here with what is going on with new laws and all stuff that are being put in. It's China what dream of what they are hoping to happen to us, where they can slowly take control of it and turn it into like what they want it to be. And we don't even fucking realize it. Except for a few people like me who realize what it is. And another reason why, because corporations are working with China, making deals with them, to screw the United States up wrong. Ooh, fuck Nick. But if we don't get the control of the corporation and people who do this stuff, we're going to lose our freedoms. Human rights will not be around it. We'll be treated wrongly. And for people like on autism spectrum, our voices will be gone. We'll be put in mental asylums again, mental hospital. We would lose our freedom of voice if we don't stop this. Not joking. It can happen. And far worse, we can be turned into soldiers or experiment for in a way. And if we don't want that to happen, we need to stop the bullshit. Stop the SEC or COPA for what they're doing. Need to intervene in China and tell them enough is enough with what they're doing in Hong Kong and how they're trying to influence every other country. It's exactly what Nazi tried doing, and it led up to the Second World War. Uh, now I'm a little tired, but it led up to Second World War, where if you guys are history buff or know from school. But what they're doing is wrong. It's wrong and it's unconstitutional. for COPA or the SCC, if you sue anybody because of what you do, we can counter sue you for being unconstitutional and doing some illegal, shady stuff. So, if I were you, back the fuck off, or it's gonna be your demise. And I mean it. You will be having your employees go into jail and getting the organization disbanded. And probably if you had connecting with the Chinese government, that would be 10 times worse because that could be life in prison. So you people out there who are working for COPA, think right and coming after us. It could be your demise. And if you do, we will countersue you. Literally. Because what you're doing to us is unconstitutional and it's wrong. And those excuses you make won't fly. Try doing that to people who know it. Poland, it can't. I talked to a friend who lived in Poland and heard about it. Who, in government, he said what they're doing to SCC is just unconstitutionally wrong. And if they try doing that in Poland, people who run the SCT and COPA would get fired and arrested. Yeah. So try that over in Poland and you'll be going to jail. And the reason why, because Poland know the actual reason, because of what happened to them during the not First World War, my bad, during the Second World War and during the Cold War, when they were under Nazi rule, and second, and when they were under communist rule. So yeah, they think about it. They know this stuff is wrong. That reason why they're going to get Article 13 because what they know and what it means. So my hunch is we quit it up because one, what they're doing is actually segregating in a way, and it's sexist. So COPA, you're going too far, and I guarantee most of the people who run COPA or the STT are narcissistic and toxic. And normally do I know that because a friend of mine went there one day for a tour of one of their places. I can't remember if it was somewhere here in Charleston or up in Washington, D.C. Been about 3 years now, and he said most of the people there, when he went, were narcissistic and toxic to a point where you do not want them to be your parents. And he said it was more upset. Was sent up red flags. It's up that unacceptable, and I'm surprised that it's up it's still fighting back like narcissistic people, narcissistic toxic people who do the kid who try to set people up who are sexist are still around trying to fight back, and they're going after the one thing that help people like us get our voice out there, the internet. Because it's not that regulated, not that controlled by government or companies. Just think about that. This is how we get our voice out there, and they are realizing that we can do that. They're going to do everything they can to set our voice up like that. And if we don't stop them, we can get our freedom goodbye and a way to use to get it out there. So like in China, you can't even speak freely on the internet. Freedom of speech is not a thing there. And it's so censored there, if you say something wrong, even in the bathroom, you can get your freedom goodbye. You're technically in change, in a visible change, waiting for command from the Chinese government. So if we don't stop COPA and the SEC, what they're doing here in the US, we will end up like China. with and not good. People like me, we would probably be either experimented on, brainwashed, or dead, or enslaved. And it's just wrong. And if we try to speak out, it could be goodbye for us. So I want to ask you guys a question. Will you fight for your freedom of speech on the internet? Fight against COPA on what they're doing and bring it to Commerce and tell them what COPA and the SCT are doing and unconstitutional and what Communist Party would do. So if you want to get word out there, get that out there and tell them. Because what they're doing is wrong. And it need to be stopped. And I mean stop. Like it's something that is not good. My mom in there, but yeah. But if we want our freedom and not be censored, we need to stop it. And what they're doing with hair looks and all that, seeing people are doing that are racist or people who support hate, that another red flags. Like literally, it's going to go to the point where everything's going to be hate, and you're going to have to wear a specific thing, and technically they'll turn you into a slave. So technically, that's another red flag. China have not fully done that, but they are slowly. So yeah, we're getting signs that we need to intervene in our government and tell them enough is enough. Because if we don't, we're going to lose all our freedoms, freedom of speech and everything, even our Second Amendment or freedom of bear arms. We're going to lose all of it if we don't stand up and stop the government. And here, kicker, there now that what happened in California, because the kid who did the mass shooting there did not have all the signs that they say, quote unquote, they're going to use it as a excuse to try to take gun rights away, like they always do. What needs to stop. Those people are dangerous. But yeah, I'm pro Second Amendment, even though I'm autistic. And the reason why, because look at Venezuela and what happened to them. It's horrifying on what is going on there. And if we don't stop, we're going to end up the same way. And the next thing we know, we get screwed by another country. We need to stop this. But yeah. But now let's get to the next stuff that I'm planning to talk about.
What you don't see when you silence us. So your child is worse off than us. How dreadful. How much you must hate that. Or you're autistic yourself and you're bothered by what's said. Often autistic people speak directly, that is, logically really. Do you require a yes, no answer or a yeah, but nah, but maybe? Facts matter. They matter so much. Is it wrong to speak directly? No. Never confuse straight answers with a lack of manners. Never request a lie. If you do, you are lying to yourself, requiring self-aggrandizement even. Why? Why would you bother to ask when you have a predetermined answer in mind? Would you ask a stranger for the balance of your bank account? When we're too high-functioning to answer, you're telling us you cannot accept truth. Or, worst case imaginable, you don't want to know the truth. Why, then, would you ask? What purpose does posing any question serve if not seeking an answer? That defies all logic. Autistic people do not appreciate silencing. We do not like being told, you don't know, because we do know.
Mm-hmm.
We know what a failure to understand is feels like. We know all too well, in fact. Imagine being so arrogant that you presume ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that you wish to remain willfully ignorant so that you may keep your narrative. Is your narrative really serving your child? Or does it just fit your expectations? I fancy that it may very well be the latter. Why, otherwise, would I subject myself to further scorn? It hurts. It pains us. It cuts so excruciatingly deeply. I would not wish that upon anyone. We never claim to know your child better than you. We never could. We don't claim to know what you experience. We do, however, know what it is to feel things as an autistic. We know hurt like you could not imagine. Do you suffer? Yes, of course. Do we understand how it feels to be different, autistic? Every day. Why do we care? Why bother? Why come into a conversation that is not about us? We know that we will likely be abused. We know that you will likely attack us. We know that we aren't welcome. Yet we are of the same neurotype as your child. We are kin. We care more for your child than we do ourselves. We know pain. We know suffering. We know exclusion. But most importantly, we know that there is one of our kind in need. Do we suffer from this? Yes. Do we cry for every child we cannot help? Daily. Are we after your parental claim to the upbringing of your child? Not a bit of it. Never. In no way. We just want to save your child from the pain we went through. We don't have every answer. We don't claim to. We never could. But consider this, we will drop everything we have going on to come to assist you for nothing other than to help. We ask neither pay nor kudos. We don't expect a check. We just want to know that we helped. We want to know your child is happy. Is that wrong? Is that too much to ask when what is actually asked is nothing? Why on earth would one subject themselves to so much harmful abuse when we're told we'll get nothing in return? Empathy, my friend and ally, we're oft told we possess none, but we have it to spare. Hook raised fist infinity.
Mm-hmm. Most of the people who don't want us to help are narcissistic and toxic. We lead up to what I was saying earlier about the STC and COPA. The people in that are narcissistic. So, yeah. And there are connections between all the narcissistic parents and toxic parents. Like, their whole connection. But everybody chooses to turn a blind eye in the psychological violence, or not psychological violence, psychological abuse and physical abuse is connected to it too. Like, literally. And funny enough, I had, when I went at that Halloween party back about a couple, it almost been a month, but not yet, where I was talking to some of the parents who were there and telling them all things that they do. And I actually, one of their daughter, she in her 20s, like around my age, probably a month or like maybe a year older than me. She is trying to figure out she might be autistic or not. Her brother is autistic. They're both Filipino, so like my fiance Val. And I was helping them out, explaining to them about stuff and explaining to them how ABA therapy ends up is horrible for autistics. And they actually agreed with me and was shocked at all the knowledge and stuff that I knew. That I've been studying stuff in class about psychological stuff and how psychological abuse and typical expectation and all that gel type affect autistics, like me and my fiance and our people. Now, every autistic it is different from one another, and they all experience different. But one who get it the worst, most of the time don't even get a fighting chance. Like there are some of the parents who do it at a young age. Like I noted when I was in high school, because they did it a lot when I'm in class to me and a bunch of our autistics. Fear Jane did not bother me, but it did get me angry because I switched the fear from fear to angry to stop this shit from happening. And sometimes I did turn it into ignoring it, where I won't listen to them, like to close my ears to chill. We did get them pissed, but they deserved it for how they treated us. But I did made it to school and graduate. I'm not a violent person. I don't support violence at all. But what they did was it wrong. The teachers, we only one to two teachers there treated me like crap in high school. Everybody else treated me like a human being. Like literally everybody else, what our teachers treated me like a human being. I'm not giving the teacher who treated me like crap name out because it would not be right getting them fired because they're just following the training that they was given when it came to special need. But yeah, and one thing, I'll be honest, the kid named was Daniel. He was a grade, 2 grade behind me, but he was 2 years older than me. He probably out of high school now, but he would do the point like he was good at reading, but he was like a 5 year old. And I know all the red flags on how toxic parent and narcissistic parent can affect an autistic person in a way, or a person who on the autism spectrum. Like I seen how it can affect. I know that his parents were so overprotected and so controlling over him. They even knew fear over him, like like fear me but love me. I noticed it when they, and I know that that T-shirt did it too, and it nearly sent me into a rage of wanting to tell them how horrible they are at doing it to a kid who is autistic, like not wanting to fight, but scolding them for how horrible they are. I would not do that to my fiance or anybody in the autism community, but a neurotypical, they deserve it. And there's a train coming. I can hear the horn. But you gotta know I'm not a fighter, but I will talk the crap out of people who deserve it, like bad people. But yeah, like those people who done it, will do deserve it. I do. I will be on. My parents are narcissistic sometime. I deal with it with my parents, but gotta deal with it for about 1 to 2 more months, and then I'm out, and I'll be good. But yeah, it all habits of narcissistic people, and surprisingly, it still happened. Oh, by the way, this sign, I don't think a hate sign or used for hate. I think they're doing it to try to set our voice up because in Hong Kong, where the revolution and the protest against Chinese government going for, and especially in China, the market say symbol right here with the three finger up like this, it's banned in China, and you can get arrested and put in prison for that. The thing about it, dude, that's opposite here, and they're slowly trying to do this shit, like take away our freedom and signals for freedom. I know this, so, and don't call me racist because my best friend is black. But yeah, but I upgraded my phone scene and I have my best friend and my fiance on the phone. But yeah, when you use something that really don't represent hate to control people, it did not right. And I got a lot of best friends, and our train about to go by. Listen, at a train. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, what is happening is not right. hmm But yeah, it's crazy. Ooh, that train must be a heavy one. I can feel it shaking. You guys probably can't tell, but I can.
Image description, black and white photo with washed out woman in center of photo. Bottom left text reads, don't always list them to comfort zones. Sometimes, it's better to face the fear.
That is so.
Autism hashtag actually autistic hashtag autistic hashtag as hashtag disability rights hashtag neurodiversity hashtag neurodivergent hashtag blogs hashtag blog hashtag blogger hashtag autistic blogger hashtag autism spectrum hashtag insta daily hashtag discourse hashtag ask.
Mm-hmm. That dog's going up being in my stepdad at home. But yeah. Oh, 1 minute. Be right back, guys.
Just fuck up! Yes, there's still soaking wet. Okay.
And I'm not able to do it because like you have to work.
Okay. No, they said something to me. Alexi had to work today. This has been raining all day. So.
Chinese food?
No, it's
Okay.
You freeze as you want, or what days, or
What? Sorry? How about us we go to train tomorrow?
we don't know what we're doing yet. we still trying to figure that out. We might be done, and we might not.
Well, the train goes right around.
David, hit me up. Hit me up, please.
Where's it at?
North Charleston.
What are you asking them?
Which one? You remember the train goes those people out? I guarantee they ain't had no damn shows. Oh, we went to last time?
Yes. That's what he's talking about. I don't know what the hell y'all went to last time, because I didn't go.
No, because you was at a shoot with
Zoe, yeah.
We went to, what was that, for your birthday?
Get off my couch!
Your 20th birthday, wasn't it?
Right.
To the mall, to the little.
We went to the mall.
Yeah,
But you know the high school in North Charleston?
yeah.
Right, then you can get
Like
back
that house, that building that looks like an old factory? Yeah, that's where they kept the water circle.
Yeah, over in that, yeah, Montague, and, I know exactly, I grew up over there.
Well, tomorrow last day, and it won't
David,
get
we'll
back.
see.
Okay.
We'll see. Okay, can't make no promises.
Okay. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to talk to my mom real quick and said that. And from a family member. So what, you know. But yeah. But, well, let me. But yeah. Here's a picture. Now, it's crazy on what's going on. Oh, but my parents are talking in there right now too. I'm talking about the train show because for people who don't know, and I did not mention it in my video blog last night, I was supposed to go to the train show this weekend, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it because one of the people who were supposed to be taking me ended up having to work this weekend. Also, so I'm seeing it might accept that, and when our friend did come, but it and maybe yes or no, but might not be going tomorrow. But if we do, I will try to get it on video. But if we don't, then I'll just do rail fanning. Because all the rain that we are having will clear out late tonight, and it will be maybe cloudy and sunny tomorrow. So yeah. But let's get back to the live stream.
Okay, so I bought this mug from an autistic artist through Redbubble. I did an unboxing video, but I couldn't remember who sold me the mug, and there was no label or tag to indicate who the artist is. If someone helped me figure this out, I will be better able to promote them.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. It's crazy on what's been going on. But yeah.
I just wanted to say that I am not only lucky to have close online friends like you. I must say you are like a virtual new Totebergen family out there. Thanks to many of you, I have learned so much about this world. For others, we might be a great source of inspiration. What brings us together is the fact that we manage to like ourselves, even if on certain points we do have some strong disagreements. However, we manage to stay close and bonded on common grounds. Thank you all.
I'm from a friend. I know another train about to go by. Listen. But yeah. Oop. But yeah, let's get to the next one. But that was pretty good.
I see a lot of my friends sharing this song, saying it brought you to tears, but did you actually listen to the words, the message in this song? My autism is my prison. No, it is not. Being autistic and forced to mask being autistic in a world where you are not accepted, that is the prison. I watch you cry and pray to God I will be healed. Being autistic is not a disease, can't be cured, no cure for being human. We all know it is a neurological difference that needs to be embraced. Imagine an autistic child listening to this crap. The damage it would do to their self-esteem. Tagging autistic activists to educate us further. Please stop sharing this song. Katie Thiesby, this is why we need to write a song. Apologies to everyone tagged, this really is awful.
For those people who don't know, I went into the song and it was disgustingly horrible. It was like a big fuck you to the face for the autism community.
More athletic.
1 minute. Got a bloody hot ad. I do not like ad on my
store, we put everything in the buggy, she had 2 buggies. Woman left with 1 buggy, got home, came back to the store, came in and was screaming in Zoe's face and cussed her out. And not Gina, but the girl that has this like shaved halfway.
And I cannot say about working at Food Line for crap that happened to my little sister.
Well, she had to intervene, and because Zoe was minor, and this woman was going off on Zoe. Zoe was like, she was accusing Zoe not doing her job, stealing her stuff. Yeah, it didn't come from Zoe. It came from the girl. I can't remember her
But
name.
that song,
Yeah,
I listened to it, and I'm not going to play it because I don't want the copyright strike. It's horrible.
Fire stations add sensory bags for patients with autism. Default mono sans serif comic fancy small caps. Default small medium large extra large XX large. Default outline dark outline dark bold outline light bold shadow dark bold shadow light bold. Default black silver gray white maroon red purple fuchsia green lime olive yellow navy blue teal aqua orange default 100% 75% 50% 25% 0%. Default black silver gray white maroon red purple fuchsia green lime olive yellow navy blue teal aqua orange default 100% 75% 50% 25% 0%. Fire department adds sensory bags. By Ken Brown, November 12, 2019 at 8:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, updated November 12 at 10:29 p.m. Clear Creek TWP. Ohio, FOX 19, the Clear Creek Township Fire Department has added sensory bags to help firefighters and paramedics when they respond to a scene involving someone on the autism spectrum. Firefighter and paramedic Eric Henry was the brainchild behind the department's new addition and did research into what items would help first responders to calm a child or adult with autism.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting there talking about them visiting the fire department one day, and I was thinking about how we were equipped to deal with autistic people within our community, Henry said. We have a lot of children that we're going to interact with all the time, and there is a high probability that we're going to run into someone with autism. The sensory bags contain items to keep the subject's hands busy, reduce the noise around them, and even to help them communicate with first responders. It is a challenging experience because they don't communicate the way that we communicate, Henry said. Any way that we can reach out and make sure our guys are prepared when they come into a situation like this, it's a good thing. Henry equipped all 3 stations with sensory bags for less than $300. Copyright 2019 WXIX. All rights reserved.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, let me be right back at it. Talk to them. Again.
A depression.
I didn't mean it like that, no.
Oh, no, I know what you mean.
But I'm saying that nowadays, everything completely.
Do you remember the price for the ticket for the train show? $7. That's right. For Thursday.
Okay. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay. Not right now. There's a lot going on.
Okay. Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. You didn't have my mom done something real quick again, but yeah. But yeah.
The way that we communicate, Henry said. Any way that we can reach out and make sure our guys are prepared when they come into a situation like this, it's a good thing. Henry equipped all 3 stations with sensory bags for less than $300. Copyright 2019 WX.
Well, I have to admit, that is amazing and a good thing right there. But yeah.
More than being thought to be bad people, we and disability by and large have something in common. Unfortunately, this burdensome image we carry because we are disabled.
Mm-hmm.
We are not bad people. We struggle with our identity far enough to have a bad tag being added to us as a supplement. Web links.
That be very true, and that's a community, and we get it against it. It's almost like what happened to the black community, what they go through, and what we go through on a daily basis. And yet, I may be white, but still, I get discriminated against a lot. Just for having a mental disability, that a neurological.
Something that's been stressing me out.
No.
You know what I'm talking
But
about?
yeah, it can be even caught by parents too. Like there've been times that parents have killed their own kid just for being autistic, and it is disturbing and disgusting. But yeah,
Yeah. Corn, black beans in it, rice.
Autistic adults thought they were bad people. Neuroscience NEWS NOVEMBER 7, 2019. AUTISMF. Summary. Many people on the autism spectrum who are not diagnosed until later in life grew up believing they were bad people.
No.
Source. Anglia Ruskin University. Many over 50s who were diagnosed with autism late in life had grown up believing they were bad people, according to a new study published in the journal Health Psychology and Behavioral Medicine. Researchers from Anglia Ruskin University interviewed 9 adults about their experiences of being diagnosed with autism in their 50s. The participants were aged between 52 and 54. As children, some participants recounted having no friends and being isolated from others, and as adults they could not understand why people treated them differently. Several had been treated for anxiety and depression. Participants also highlighted the lack of support available to adults with a new diagnosis. It is thought to be the first study of its kind that examines the phenomenon of receiving a diagnosis exclusively in middle age. It is thought to be the first study of its kind that examines the phenomenon of receiving a diagnosis exclusively in middle age. The image is in the public domain. Dr. Stephen Stagg, senior lecturer in psychology at Anglia Ruskin University, Peru, and lead author of the study, said, "One aspect of the research I found heart-wrenching was that the participants had grown up believing they were bad people. They referred to themselves as alien and non-human." The research also suggests that receiving a diagnosis in middle age can be positive. The participants often described it as a eureka moment that brought relief into their lives. It allowed them to understand why others had reacted negatively towards them. Clinicians and health workers need to be aware of the possible signs of autism. Often people are diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or other mental health conditions, and the autism is missed. More work also needs to be done to support older people after they receive a diagnosis. About this neuroscience research article. Source. Anglia Abstract. Living with autism without knowing, receiving a diagnosis in later life. Increasingly, adults over the age of 50 are receiving a diagnosis of autism spectrum condition. Growing up in a time when autism was poorly recognized, these adults have lived unknowingly with the condition and face readjustment. This paper reports the first study to investigate this population. 9 adults over the age of 50, who had recently been diagnosed with ASC, were interviewed, and thematic analysis was used to analyze the transcripts. Results showed that the participants had received treatment for anxiety and depression. They reported ASC behaviors in their childhood, and growing up they felt isolated and alien. Receiving a diagnosis was seen as a positive step and allowed for a reconfiguration of self and an appreciation of individual needs. Given the positive aspects of receiving a late diagnosis, more work is needed to identify older adults with undiagnosed ASC.
it can be the same when you're young too. And for people who walk up, we can get if we get diagnosed at a young age, we get discriminated against a lot. And it's just horrifying. But yeah, and Zakachin is that stuff like that happen to people like all the time. But Yeah, it's something that happens so often. Surprisingly, it's still getting away with. But yeah, like I'm just saying, how could stuff like this they get away with it? How dare they do that to us? What is the problem with them? And a lot of earths up above, like literally, and I don't know how it's so acceptable in our community, not our community, in our country, how they treat them. We get discriminated against so badly just because we're different. It's just disgustingly, horrifyingly horrible. Like literally, that song that I was talking about earlier, I'm not going to play it inside. I want to report it so badly for what it is. That how I feel about that. Like literally, it makes me sick that stuff like this it, is acceptable. Like it just like in a way. Uh, okay, yeah, but the whole scene between what we call people who are not autistic, we call them neurotypical, but people don't understand.
CW, discussion of eating disorder, food. Laura's reasoning, by her own admission, is irrational. It's not founded on perceived health benefits or a fear of gaining weight but a strict, unyielding obedience to arbitrary rules she set herself years ago. The fact that it's irrational doesn't matter because it's one of the many rules and routines she depends on for a sense of stability. Laura is one of many women whose eating disorder is part of the autism which went unrecognized in her for years.
Hmm. Now, for people who don't understand, you can end up with disorder just from people who bully. Like, for people who don't know, when I was younger and my fiance was younger, we were bullied and used to call fat and all of that.
I can't stand how he talks.
My food obsession was a distraction, how my undiagnosed autism led to an eating disorder. SADHBH O'Sullivan. Photographed by 28-year-old Laura Andrews lives in Cardiff and works for the civil service. She was diagnosed with anorexia 7 years ago, but her eating disorder is atypical. If you had a whole chocolate bar in one hand and one single crisp in another and said to me, you have to eat one of these, I'd rather eat the whole chocolate bar because eating the crisp breaks the rules. Laura's reasoning, by her own admission, is irrational. It's not founded on perceived health benefits or a fear of gaining weight but a strict, unyielding obedience to arbitrary rules she set herself years ago. The fact that it's irrational doesn't matter because it's one of the many rules and routines she depends on for a sense of stability. Laura is one of many women whose eating disorder is part of the autism which went unrecognized in her for years. Advertisement. According to the National Autistic Society, about 700,000 people in the UK are on the autism spectrum and the ratio of diagnosis in boys to girls is 5:1. Elsewhere, Beat believes approximately 1.25 million people in the UK have an eating disorder, about 75% of whom are women. With this in mind, you might expect the chance of the two occurring in the same person to be very low. However, according to Wilmandy D. Klinsai, PhD, an associate professor and research director in clinical psychology at UCL, there's now a realistic claim that 25% of anorexic women are autistic. This follows a study led by the Swedish child psychiatrist Christopher Gillberg in 2012 which measured autism in a group of people with adolescent anorexia, almost all women, and found that a fantastically high estimated proportion of them were autistic. In Red Invented by TEDS. He notes that this claim is not without controversy, not least because the body in a starvation state brings about certain psychological changes that one attributes to autism, things like being less flexible, being less socially motivated, developing focused interests.
That's true.
This is why Will and others, funded by the charity Autistica, are doing further studies with women like Laura in an attempt to find out if this high rate is correct, and if so, why. So far, his findings corroborate Gilbert's. About 20 to 30% of women in our studies who are being treated for anorexia nervosa are autistic, he says. What's striking is that they are almost all undiagnosed. Advertisement. There are many reasons for the underdiagnosis of autism in women and girls, one of which is to do with social camouflaging. The world is built for non-autistic people, and a lot of people with autism feel they have to pretend not to be autistic in order to survive. This can involve anything from learning how to fake good eye contact to practicing common gestures, and it's thought that women and girls are more likely to do this. The reasons are currently unclear, but it means that mental health problems like anorexia can go ignored together with the autism that gave rise to them in the first place. For people with autism, eating disorders can take a different shape than they do in people without autism and, consequently, take longer to be identified. Laura tells me that her anorexia happened gradually, over time, and it developed long before I recognized it. Her focus was on sameness and regulation around numbers, what was and was not allowed, and when. When I was really young, I only ate certain foods. I wouldn't eat vegetables until I was about 15, or pizzas until I was in my 20s. I wouldn't even try Indian food. It was about the numbers. I would always want the same numbers of food in my lunch or dinner. When I got older, in my teens, it was definitely about counting calories and grams of fat. It was like a currency I was allowed to spend. If I exceeded my allowance, I would feel like a failure and would need to compensate. It wasn't a fear of weight gain. It wasn't that I wanted to lose weight either. I just wanted to stay the same. Always want to stay the same. Advertisement. Laura's eating disorder went undiagnosed until her early 20s. Her family and friends would comment as her attitudes to food and exercise became increasingly strict and compulsive. She even visited her GP at 18, but it wasn't until a dramatic shift in weight at the age of 20 that she accepted she had a problem. Acknowledgement was only the first step on a long road to diagnosis. A combination of bad timing and indifference from doctors left Laura feeling like no one was taking her seriously. Finally, at 21, she was diagnosed with an eating disorder. I saw a psychologist who gave an anorexia diagnosis. He recommended me for therapy or CBT or something, but because I had then finished uni and moved back to Cardiff, I wasn't entitled to it, and I was left, again, with no treatment but with atypical anorexia and OCD traits. A couple of years later, after reading an article about women with Asperger's syndrome, she realized she had autism, but it would be 5 years after treatment with a new doctor before she received that diagnosis as well. There are two main theories why eating disorders can arise in women with autism. Will is keen to emphasize that these are just educated guesses at the moment, but they do appear to corroborate Laura's experience. The first theory is based on a direct link to autistic tendencies, where sensory aversions and fixated interests common to autism can directly influence people's diets. For example, Will has seen many instances where calories and exercise are approached with a mathematical focus, or the textures of many foods invoke extreme aversion. Advertisement. The second theory is that the chronic underdiagnosis of autism in young women and girls means they suffer from a lack of understanding and support in their formative years. This in turn leads to alienation, ostracization, and bullying, which Will says can result in girls perhaps developing restrictive eating almost as a maladaptive and unhelpful way of trying to deal with those feelings. The starvation state can numb feeling, so some use it very deliberately as a way to manage anxiety. Disordered eating also provides the individual with a sense of control that, for autistic people, is especially soothing. Laura echoes this. With the food obsession or the OCD, it was a distraction. I could lose myself. I think if I'd understood myself more, I wouldn't have developed OCD and depression and anxiety and then the anorexia. Photo courtesy of Laura. Her diagnosis with autism at 26 was revelatory. Before I'd got obsessed with mental health, I knew I had some OCD traits and anorexic traits. But the thing that completely fitted, that explained why I developed all these mental health issues, was the autism underlying it all. Early diagnosis and support is key in treating eating disorders among autistic patients. A lack of it can result in misdiagnosis, inadequate access to treatment, or other issues. If you've got a diagnosis of anorexia, perhaps you're receiving a CBT treatment to address your weight and shape concerns. What happens if that's not what your problem is? Will asks. It can break down the trust between the clinician and the patient, and often clinicians will assume somebody is trying to avoid the problem because they don't want to give up their anorexia. Even if the correct treatment is on offer, accessing it can be difficult. People with autism might have sensory sensitivity and find fluorescent strip lighting really disturbing, but they're expected to see their dietitian in an inpatient unit where these lights are the norm. They may ask for the light to be turned off, but the dietitians just think that the patient is giving them the runaround, so they say no and dig their heels in. Advertisement. It's been 2 years since Laura's autism diagnosis, and 7 since her initial diagnosis of atypical anorexia. While she acknowledges that a full recovery from the latter is possible, she thinks it's different when you have autism. I feel like the rules, the routine, the ritual, are always there in the back of your mind, even if they're diminished sometimes, and it's very hard to break that mindset. Although it's no longer impacting my daily life, and I'm not physically, or hopefully not mentally, unwell, I still eat the same things day in, day out. Early diagnosis and support for young women and girls with autism is integral to helping combat this problem, and clinicians need to be open-minded about the possibility of autism in girls. While there's no way of going back in time to her school days, Laura is now far happier than she has been for years. She emphasizes that neither diagnosis is a condemnation. In fact, she sees it as a kind of freedom. You can still lead a fulfilling, happy life and achieve lots of the things you want to. It just might mean that you have to know your limits and plan carefully. It is possible to get better and be happy. Laura was involved in research led by the UK's autism charity Autistica. You can read about their anorexia project here. If you are struggling with an eating disorder,
Okay, now here, Jane. All this stuff is caused by the discriminating and stuff that happened in our community. If it weren't for that, the problems that we have would not be happening.
I'm back at my first year high school. This song was a tear-jerker to me as I listened to it more than 10 times. Because this is simply a masterpiece from the voice from above, Whitney Houston. Whether this song she pertains to as God or a loved one, this was conventional to interpret. 90s music.
That from my fiance Val, and here to
Let those abundance and friendly resources shine to support financially these special people who have cerebral palsy. This institute called Philippine Cerebral Palsy is in need of such financial support by giving any kind and all you can. As we also felt that Christmas is fast approaching, we need to learn the art of giving over receiving, because at the end of the day, we'll know that we've helped those in need like them and being remembered by doing that simple kindness, and will gain such inclusive love on both sides.
Okay, here, Jane. Christmas start early there in the Philippines. Their Christmas start a month early, so it's already Christmas there right now. Christmas don't start for another month for us, or take another few more weeks for us. We still have 2 weeks, but
Sana din isipin din natin ang mga tayong catalad nila kahit nagihirap sila maganaping suporta tayo dapat ay nakikisa sa pagbigay.
oh, that's a going. I don't speak that much to going.
Let's help those in need. Make Philippines hospitable this Christmas.
And that from my lovely fiance. Well, half the other stuff would be unexplainable if you guys know what I mean. But I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I hope you guys find it educational and motivational, and I hope you guys keep on spreading word. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream, and I hope you enjoy my content. And I'll talk to you guys later. Signing it out. Bye, guys.